What is going on, guys? Here CZeroMedia. In today's episode, the Evo 10 build continues. Unfortunately, in the last episode I really wanted the car to start up, but it didn't because we ran out of time. I realized that the oil pan was not in a perfect condition. I'm not doing a motor swap to have to do it again next week, next month, next year, or even a couple years from now. I want to do it right once, get it done with, and have a reliable Evo 10. So for that reason, I decided to pick up a brand new oil pan. It is another stock Evo 10 GSR oil pan off of a backup. Oh, look at that 300ZX. You don't see these nowadays. Looking clean, looking good. What was I saying? So yeah, the oil pan is coming off of my friend Raj. He is, should I say, Evo 10 god. He knows everything about Evo 10's inside and out. He was kind enough to take it off of his spare motor and do a deep clean professionally at a shop, and just basically freshening everything up. Sometimes even if it looks clean, the oil pan itself might have metal debris embedded within the pan itself. So even if you clean it with brake cleaner and it looks clean, I highly suggest that you replace the oil pan too, or at least remove it and do a professional freshening up if you were to reuse a oil pan off of a motor that has some issues. Long story short, I'm going back to the shop today for the last time, hopefully, to swap the oil pan, put the bumper back on, put the coolant, put the oil, and we should be able to drive the Evo back home today. Alright, so Stan is already at work because he's a hard-working man, and I got here way too late. But let me just show you what he has removed. These two bolts. It's not just holding the oil pan itself, but it's also holding the compressor, AC compressor.
There's 3 bolts on the bracket.
Right.
You can access all of 3 of them to get the bracket off.
Yes.
All 12s. The 3rd bolt on the AC compressor connects to the bracket, whereas the other 2 top bolts of the AC compressor bolt to the block. So you have to undo the serpentine belt, obviously.
Right.
I just undid the 2 top brackets, the 2 top bolts, sorry, that held it to the block right there. And I just left the 3rd one attached to the bracket, and I unbolted the bracket. Makes it easier to slide it back in and out. Keeps everything kind of in alignment, because once this bracket goes on, the rest of the bolts should match right up.
So aside from the AC compressor bolts, it's pretty straightforward like any other oil pan. This is a genuine Mitsubishi oil filter, which, like I said in the past, is a good indicator that this was a dealer maintained vehicle. Over here we're lining up the bolts in order because not all bolts are the same length for the oil pan, so make sure you don't get that mixed up. And the oil pan is off. We're just gonna go ahead and clean the old gasket off the surface so that everything's good to go. Alright, so the bottom of the block is clean. We use brake cleaner. Old gasket is off for the most part. We're gonna go ahead and get the oil filter off, swap that, and then go ahead and get the new oil pan on with RTV gasket maker. Alright guys, the oil pan bolts are tightened up and everything has been put back together like stock, except for the plastic piece that I need to put back on the bumper here. This piece, right? That's missing, that's in the back. But other than that, everything is back to stock and we're ready to start it up. And the reason why I didn't put the plastic piece back was because this massive Mishimoto oil cooler is so massive that it is pushing against the inner fender liner here. And I had to make some cuts inside the bumper, but I don't think that was enough because, as you can see here, the bumper is still kind of halfway on there. So once I bring this home, I'm gonna start chopping the oil cooler bracket a little bit, adjusting it just so slightly so that it pushes forward a little more. Maybe trim the bumper on the inside a little more so I can push the oil cooler forward, because as this sits right now, if you run wider tire, I'm running what is this, like a stock size, I'm assuming 235s, 245s actually, 245s up front. It might rub just so slightly, so I just zip tied this. In the meantime, everything is good to go. We're gonna put the coolant in the car, oil in the car, initial startup.
Just a fun fact for everyone. Subaru Blue
What?
coolant
Why you
is
gotta do this to me?
actually the almost identical coolant that Mitsubishi uses.
How many gallons are we putting in? One
When
and
the car's
some?
dry, I usually put one whole thing and then most of the second one.
All right, let's put some fluids in and start it up. We're also topping off the AYC pump in the back because some of it came out when we were doing the motor swap. Here we go. Starts okay so far. Let's see if there's any leaks or anything. I don't see any drips. Lift it up. So we shut it off after 10 seconds because it needed some more power steering fluid. So we're just topping things off as we go. Want me to turn it right and left? Oh, there you go. There you go. That sounds a lot better. Alright guys, and we did it. We swapped the 4V11 engine over the weekend, plus a couple of days here and there, but the car is running great. It's running healthy. I'm super excited to daily drive it. Stan's gonna drive this back to my house while I drive the truck with the old engine inside of it. So the old motor that came out of this car is going to be taken apart to be diagnosed. I'm going to split the oil filter. I'm going to take apart the engine and try to see what went wrong, what caused the wrong knock, so that I can educate myself as well as you guys. In the meantime, I'm gonna register this, insure this, put it on the road, start dating driving it, and see what the Evo 10 platform is like as a daily driver. Thank you so much to Stan for working on the car, sweating his ass off. Did you bleed at all?
I bled quite a bit.
Sweating, bleeding, Evo life. Thanks Stan for the help.
See you later, guys.
Peace.